I also want to talk about Mystical Magical by your friend and mine, Benson Boone.
And that's all I have to say about that. Doug Dimmadome, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome. Justin.
Give it up, delicious. You look like a man. Geoff. And welcome to BANTS.
Geoff, what's up? I'm finally back in the district, the good old District of Columbia.
Is it good? It's definitely old.
I think it's a beautiful city. You know, it's going through some hard times at this particular moment, but it's a great
Hard
city.
Times. Play Hard Times by Paramore. Love that song. That's like an underrated bop of theirs, don't you think so?
I'm a little bit cooler on newer
Oh my God,
Paramore.
here we go. Mr.
It's not one of my
fucking
faves,
Flop.
but it's a good song. It's a good song.
Okay, the mayor of Floptown's back in the District of Columbia.
That's exactly right.
Floptown is your neighborhood. There's Soggy Bottom and there's Floptown.
Okay.
I've met a couple Soggy Bottoms in my day. Or, well, it's Foggy Bottom, but that's okay.
How has your week been? I feel like I've had a whirlwind of a week. I was at a conference for a week for work, so I haven't had a lot of time to talk.
Okay, now you're using the word conference to describe this. However, right before we started recording, you kept referring to it as a meeting, to which I took umbrage because I told you a meeting is a one singular occurrence. This was like a multi-day summit.
Well, it's definitely not a summit. It's a scientific meeting. I think that in the context of scientists and research, it's pretty common to use the word meeting to refer to a multi-day conference. So that's why I was using meeting. And now
that's extremely inspecific, which is very not scientific, if you ask me.
I'm reflecting on my word choice, and now I'm switching to conference, and that's why I use conference. So I'm taking your feedback into account here.
And that's a point for me.
Yeah, we'll call that a point for Geoff.
Abso-fucking-lutely we will. Well, Justin, I'm so glad you're back. You were in the town of New York called Cold Spring Harbor.
That's right. Yeah.
I have to tell you, I've spent many a day in that town, and it's a lovely little hamlet.
It is. It's beautiful, for sure.
My good friend Alexa from college, shout out Alexa. I don't know if you're listening or not, but shout out. And her wonderful family had me there so many times for like Indigenous Peoples Day weekends. Random little escapes from college, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So fun to go to someone else's house when you're in college. You know, when your friend invites you to their house and you just chill there for a couple days.
Oh, yeah, that's the best. I didn't have that experience much, and I'm kind of surprised you did, because you also went to school nearby, like near where we live. So I was usually the person who was like hosting people more than I was like going to other people's houses. I feel like usually
that's
it's
interesting
for people who like are far from home during those shorter breaks, you know?
Yeah, but I was like one of the few people from our area who went to the college that I went to.
We went to different colleges with different vibes, you know? College had a lot of different vibes. A lot of like, I don't know how to say this in a polite way, but rich people from like other states.
From New York suburbs, Long Island, and 45 minutes right outside of Boston.
Exactly. And then UConn was like everybody from Connecticut. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone that I went to school with was, well, not everyone, but almost every girl that I went to school with was like a 5'7" brunette who lived like 25 minutes right outside of Boston. 30 minutes right outside of Boston. But like what was so funny, and like I mean, talking about college is so boring, but this is like something that still I think is so funny. People that are from like the greater Boston metro area, like have such affinity to that city, even if they like really haven't had a lot of time that they spend there or didn't live there. And so like all these very nice little towns with their own unique histories and traditions and identities, these people would completely shirk that to just like relate themselves to living near Boston.
Yeah.
Or being like a Bostonian. What's going on there?
I don't know. I mean, probably their parents are like faculty or affiliated with a university somehow, like Harvard or MIT. And there's like a big academic boon, I think, with being affiliated with those universities.
Yeah, but there probably weren't that many like professors' kids who were going to college. Like they were probably like bankers in Boston or something like that.
Bankers. Yeah.
Big financial capital of the world, Boston. Crazy. Anyway, we can cut this. It was so boring to talk about. I'm sure no one is excited.
That's every podcast, every day, baby. Every single week, we're back with the hottest content.
Damn. with boring shit to say. Oh my god, wait, I have to tell you, I don't know if you feel this way. I feel like I lived in some ways a very like sheltered life because like my family didn't have like a ton of money growing up, and like so like driving places was like a big deal. And especially like my dad, like he would get like annoyed if I wanted to go like 2 towns over, or even from like Groton to Mystic, which is still Groton, it's just the other side of town. And he'd be like, "What's wrong with your Groton City friends? Why can't you just hang out with people who live 2 minutes down the road?"
Well, it is interesting. You know, I have found myself thinking about this too, but it was in a slightly different context, which is
Mhm.
like, I think we did have a similar upbringing in this way, but partially it's just because like driving a long distance used to be such a more, like a much more difficult task because you didn't have like directions built into your car.
GPS,
And like,
true.
you know, you used to have to like print out MapQuest directions. And then before that, you
Oh
used to
my
have to like map out
god.
your, you know, your directions.
MapQuest, 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 MapQuest.
I remember when I first got my driver's license, that was like right around the time when the iPhone was first releasing. So people were not using their phones for navigation at this point.
Right.
And it did feel
Yeah.
like a big deal for me to go to like the Walmart in Waterford to drive myself there. I was like, "Ooh, this is like a big journey, you
Oh
know?"
my god. A sojourn.
Yes, it felt that way because I was like, what if I get off at the wrong exit or I forget to get off? Like I'm lost. Like I'm just
Justin, you
screwed.
didn't have your Okay, this is the thing about cars in the 90s and the early aughts before the advent of GPS technology on our phone. We used to have a co-pilot in our car at all times who went by the name of Rand McNally.
I don't
You
know
know what
what
I'm
this
talking
is.
about?
No. Is this
What,
like a
Justin?
GPS, like a GPS
No,
device?
nonsense. Well, if you were rich, like my uncle was, you had like a TomTom,
We did
which
not have
was
a
like
TomTom.
a
Yeah.
separate GPS unit that was like fucking diesel, and it would just like plug into your cigarette lighter and it would guide you, and you had to like update it with like CD-ROM. It was crazy.
Yeah, one of the many pieces of technology eaten by the cell phone.
Truly. But Rand McNally is this like famous brand of like road maps, like atlases, basically.
Oh, okay. I'm sure that we did have those, but I just never used them.
Yeah, I bet you did, and I bet it was like in the back pocket of the driver's or passenger seat of your car, because that's where it was. That is where it was kept. That's where Miss Rand McNally sat. Rand McNally could be a good drag name, maybe.
Well, we can workshop it.
Like a dated queen who like wears like chunky heels and those like Forever 21 dresses with like the one strap with the empire waist. Like every girl had one in like the
Sure.
early when we were in college time.
Okay.
And she carries around like a big chunky like BlackBerry or something, or Nokia. Please
I,
welcome the stage, Rand McNally.
well, I mean, like you were saying, I think my parents didn't drive long distances very much,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So I wouldn't be surprised if I never saw, like, if as a kid I never saw one in the car because, like, we just didn't go anywhere. The farthest we probably went was, like, from Groton to Ledyard or something.
Groton to Ledyard.
Yeah.
Wow. By the way, listeners who are not familiar with our locality's geography, Ledyard is the town next door.
Exactly.
It is approximately 10 minutes to drive from border to border.
We went to the Cartway. Like, that was the big adventure of the day,
Oh my
you know?
god, remember go-karting?
Yeah. I mean, those places still exist, but now they're all, like, these, like, inside, like, super...
No, now they're insane.
Yeah, they're, like, really over the top.
Supercharged! Whoa, 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 whoa! Yeah, like you have to literally sign a waiver to do the go-karting thing that's like not far from us, because the go-karts go like 45 to 50 miles per hour at top speed.
Yeah.
And like you can get really fucked up. I wanted to take my little cousin's go-karting because I was like, wouldn't that be so cute? Like a fun little afternoon, we go get go-karts and do ice cream. And then I was like, I don't really have a place to do that because I'm not going to put like my 5-year-old cousin in a go-kart that's going 45 miles an hour.
I mean, it's also
Crazy.
like extremely expensive, and it's like you have to get like a pass.
So
like,
expensive.
remember Cartway was like, it was like soft serve ice cream for like $3
Yes.
or whatever, and then you would
It
like
was
pay
$2 a cone.
very cheap, and then you would just pay like per ride. And I think they also
Yeah.
had batting cages. They had a lot of stuff there.
They did have batting cages and they had mini golf, but the mini golf shut down. And then it was just batting cages and go kart.
Rest in peace to Cartway. Damn.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace to like the good times from those days. Things were simple. Justin, I have to tell you this. I went to see a movie with my mom yesterday, and I was supposed to pick her up at 12:30. So I left my little house and I got onto the on-ramp of the highway. And I was like, oh shit, I left my phone. And I was like, normally I'd turn around, but we got a deadline. So I was like, I'm just going to go pick her up and I just won't have my phone for the afternoon. I have to tell you, I felt wonderful. I did my thing with my mom. We went to the movies, we got a little nosh, and then I brought her home. And then I was like, I want to go to the library because I am really fascinated by this idea. This is my newest obsession. So, it'll probably last about 3 months and then I'll move on to something else.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really interested in the idea of a natural house, like the kind that you build, like out of this stuff called cob, which is a mixture of like sand, concrete, and clay and straw.
Interesting.
And I'm like, I can afford to buy property, but I can't afford to buy a house. So I'm like, I should buy property and then build my own earthen house.
Cool. You gonna
Justin,
do that?
I'm really thinking about it because I'm like, how else am I going to be a homeowner? I'm not
That'd
getting married anytime soon.
be very exciting. I'll help out as much as I can. I have no engineering expertise, but I can do manual labor.
Justin, famously, I know architecture, I know plumbing, I know
Electricity. Yeah, you know it all. Yeah,
I can do it.
you're a pro.
I so appreciate your offer to help. I will call upon that favor if I decide
Noted.
to move this route.
Noted.
So anyways, I went to the library and didn't have my phone, and it was great. And I was like, I need to do this more often. Like, just not have my phone on me.
I have done this before, and there have been times where I've like intentionally left my phone when I have like a low pressure day and I just want to get a couple errands done or whatever. I'll just leave it at home. And it feels like you're stretching like a part of your brain that doesn't usually get stretched to like not just like look at Twitter or Blue Sky or whatever, like in your off moments and not looking stuff up when you're curious about something, or like, just like letting your brain exist in the world instead of just having that source of stimulation at all times. It feels nice.
Yeah, I think what I may start doing is like, I want to have my phone on me just in case I have an emergency or something. That was the only thing I was a little worried about because my dad lives far away.
Mm-hmm.
And, my mom has health issues. My dad has some and also lives far. And so I'm always worried I'm going to like miss an important call, like get on a flight, dad's not doing well or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I got to have my phone. But I think I might just like carry it around with me sometimes when I have not much to do and just like have it off.
So there is a device called I think they call it a brick.
The brick. Yeah.
I've talked to a few people who use it, and the people who use it really like it. It's just like a physical device that you tap your phone on. Like you tap it when you leave your apartment or house or whatever, and you can tap it when you return. When you leave, it basically shuts down all apps on your phone except for you can select which ones you want to keep. So like you could keep the phone app, for example, so you can communicate. But it shuts down like social media, whatever else you want it to shut down. And you can't open the apps again until you tap it again and you come back into your house or apartment. So like it's a physical obstacle that you need to overcome to like access those apps. So some people do that when they go out, and I think that's a really useful thing. I've considered getting it for sure.
I like the idea of it, but I literally don't want my phone to be bricked should something catastrophic happen, like my house burns down while I'm not here, and then like I can't de-brick my phone.
I mean, there's ways around it.
Well, that's why I'm like, well, okay, I could also just exercise a little bit more self-control and just turn it off. And then because like I am so lazy with my phone, I'm not going to turn it on if it's not really important because I'm like, I don't want to wait for it to boot up.
Impressive of you, ambitious of you to propose self-control as a technique,
Justin, it really is ambitious of me. Thank you for recognizing this growth. Thank you for recognizing my effort. I really appreciate it.
Anytime.
Well, Justin, there's a lot of stuff going on.
There is. So why don't we get into some hot topics? Well, I'm sure that you expected us to talk about this one. We're a little bit late to the party here, but we do have to talk about it briefly.
But Justin, it's better to show up late than not at all.
That's true. That's true. Let's talk about Jimmy Kimmel, Geoff.
Let's talk about Jimmy Kimmel. You want to talk? You want to go there about the husband? I can go there.
It's about the husband. Yeah. So obviously, at this point, it's been discussed to death in the news cycle among celebrities. I'm sure in your group chats. But Jimmy Kimmel's show, Jimmy Kimmel Live on ABC, has been preempted indefinitely, quote unquote, according to ABC, in response to a joke that he made about the death of Charlie Kirk. This comes on the heels of the chair of the FCC threatening to pull licenses from ABC affiliates. Important context here is that one of those ABC affiliates, Nexstar, is currently planning to purchase one of its major TV affiliate rivals and needs the FCC to check off on that merger. So this is being broadly recognized in the culture, in the celebrity sphere, as an instance of the political administration bullying these ABC affiliates into pulling Jimmy Kimmel off the air in response to his criticism of a figure who's sympathetic to, the current administration.
Well, I just want to say Jimmy Kimmel actually didn't make a joke about Charlie Kirk's death. What he said was, we hit new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. That is what he said. It was not a joke.
Yeah, that's an important point of clarity. I mean,
so it wasn't that he made a joke, and because this is also the same crowd who's like, comedy's dead, you can't say anything anymore. But it's like, this person just made like a salient point and named obvious truths, and now they're like, oh, well, we don't like that, so you're canceled. It wasn't that he like made a joke that was in poor taste. That I could understand the vitriol coming from their side a little bit more, and even that is a huge stretch. But like, that he didn't even make a joke and was in no way making light of the situation or making light of somebody being murdered is like even crazier.
So this is, it's a late night show. So when I say he's making a joke, this was given as a part of his monologue to open his show. So these are all in the vein of like The Daily Show or something, right? These are monologues that are filled with jokes, but also filled with like topical points and concerns. Yeah. So when I say that this was a joke, that's what I meant by that. And it is in a comedic context. And it's important to know that this is not a news show, right? So like,
right, exactly.
You could argue in a different context, if this were a news show, like, journalistic integrity is important. Your point about this actually not being that controversial of a statement, I think, is a good one. It's gotten blown up into the point where now people are saying like, they're paraphrasing him and saying that he said that the shooter was MAGA or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Clearly, I think that is something that maybe he implied during his monologue. But if, you have like some reading comprehension and you read what he said, it's clear that he's just saying that the current administration is trying to distance itself, A, from the shooter, and B,
right,
align their enemies with the shooter. Right. And I think if not to get in, this is not a politics podcast, so we don't have to get deep into the Charlie Kirk stuff. But if you look at the political history of the shooter and like his statements to friends on Discord and stuff like that, it seems like he was pretty apolitical,
Yeah.
Was not really affiliated with either political party, was not very supportive of like mainstream Democrats, That was the point that he was making in his monologue, was trying to align the killer with quote unquote radical left Antifa types, you know what I mean? And all the evidence is that this kid was probably pretty apolitical. So yeah, I totally agree with you.
Have you seen these alleged text messages from the shooter to his roommate?
I've seen some of them, but I gotta be honest, I've been trying to protect myself and haven't looked too deep into the situation. So,
well, if anyone listening has not looked at these alleged text messages, I'm not even going to make a statement on them. I think you should just read them. And I think it's very interesting.
Okay.
That's all I'll say about that.
But yeah, I think this is a concerning trend, obviously. This is now the second late night show that has been canceled or indefinitely suspended with political overtones, right? I mean, you could make the argument with the Colbert Show that, there wasn't a direct political interference there. When you have the FCC commissioner saying that he's going to revoke the licenses from the ABC affiliates that run Kimmel, that's like explicitly government interference to me. So that's very concerning.
Yeah, I think anyone who thinks that like we still have time and we're not living in an authoritarian state is like needs to like have a come to Jesus moment, if you believe in that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, we need to confront reality here, because that, like, imagine if this was being done in Russia, everybody would be like, well, that's what the Russians do. It's an autocracy over there.
I think, again, we talked about this during the Colbert topic when we were talking about that, but what actually happened here is that a corporation buckled under pressure from the administration, right? Yeah. So while you could argue the administration...
But wait, Justin, good for business.
Well,
he loves business.
He's good for business.
He's going to make them richer than they ever believed.
If he likes them. Right. That's kind of the whole thing. This is very mob rules, right? Like, I think the FCC chair literally said, we can do this the easy way or we can do this the hard way. Like, that's literally Italian mob.
It's a fucking shakedown, language. Dude.
Yeah. Obviously, this is a bad thing. And it's a trend. And I do think it's worth mentioning. We talked about the Warner Brothers Paramount merger last week. It's worth mentioning that this also has to do with industry consolidation, this time with affiliate TV channels. So,
Yep.
these are trends that continue to affect the pop culture that we watch. We're not a politics show, but I think it is important to look at how those things interact and are dependent on each other. Hey y'all, editor Justin here. This story has developed quite a bit since we recorded, so I want to add a bit more context here. Following Kimmel's suspension by Disney, there was a pretty significant boycott campaign that involved many canceling their Disney Plus subscriptions. In addition to this, there was a large group of Hollywood celebrities who signed on to an open letter signaling their disappointment with Disney for suspending Kimmel. Following this controversy, ABC announced on Monday that Kimmel's show will return to the air on Tuesday. That's yesterday at the time of this episode going live, which is good news. It seems like Bob Iger and Disney felt the winds changing on this issue and also felt the pressure from these public campaigns. Now, importantly, there are two companies which own 66 local ABC stations, including the Washington, D.C. local station, that are still refusing to air Kimmel's show, Sinclair and Nexstar. As we mentioned earlier, Nexstar is currently undergoing a pending merger with a rival affiliate group that requires approval from the FCC. And Sinclair is also reportedly interested in pursuing a separate merger, which of course would also require FCC approval. And just as a reminder, Nexstar was the first company to announce they'd be preempting Kimmel's show following the FCC chair's comments. So while Disney has reversed their decision, it seems like the original instigators of the suspension are holding their ground for now. This is a fast developing story, so we'll be sure to update as things change, but for now, let's get back to the show.
But listen, I mean, like, do we specialize in politics? Are either of us, like, qualified on paper to discuss them? Probably not. We wouldn't be anyone's first choice. However, politics affects us all, and everything that we do and consume, all the media we consume is affected by it as well, like we just talked about. So I feel like it's important to discuss, and I also am very tired of people saying, well, I'm really not that political. Hi, it's time to get that way. And like, no one likes it. I don't love politics at all. I think it's fascinating because it's a fascinating study on like human psychology, but I also don't like that I have to be engaged with it, but we don't really have a choice. So I'd like people to also stop saying I'm not political.
That's a complete misunderstanding of the way that the world works, because saying you're not political is a political statement and it has political ramifications. So
Absolutely.
I think whether or not you would like to be political, you are political. So I just think it's, let's just...
I'm chaperone clapping with my two fingers.
Let's just reckon with the reality that we live in today,
I agree. Well, Justin, speaking of reality, can we talk about this floppery that occurred at the Meta Ray-Ban smart glasses demo?
Geoff, would you say that we're in tech corner right now? The rare tech corner appearance. We're so back. Yes, Geoff, let's talk about these new Meta Ray-Ban collab smart glasses. Have you seen these?
Yeah, I did watch the TikTok. I did read this article about it. And firstly, like, this is like a joke, right? It's like Meta's X Ray-Ban. Like, firstly, that is already so ridiculous. It's so crazy.
I mean, these are actually like the second or third cycle of these smart glasses.
I did not know that.
So they've had them in the past, but it was mostly kind of just like a little camera with a little chip implanted into like a pair of Wayfarers, basically.
I hate it.
And you could like live stream, you could take pictures. Now they've incorporated.
Guess what you can also do that with? Your fucking phone. That you can hold right up to where your eyes are. So what are we talking about?
Well, these tech companies have been working on making wearables a thing for a really long time. Remember the Google Glass?
I do remember hearing about that.
Some of the ugliest glasses of all time. And now their way of trying to get past that obstacle is to just collaborate with Ray-Ban, which I think is like the most well-known sunglasses distributor and manufacturer in the world, right? And they have like very cool looking sunglasses. So that's what Meta's strategy was. And they had this first installment of them that had the camera and the computer. Now the actual lenses can like show images, and it's also incorporating AI. So you can just talk to Meta and ask it questions, and it uses a large language model to respond to you.
Oh, God. It's insidious.
But that's not what we're talking about those today. We're talking about these today because they did a live demo of these glasses and it was a complete and utter failure. So you said that you watched the video, Geoff. Would you care to describe what happened?
Sure. Well, there's this guy who I don't know who he is, but he was supposed to be doing like a cooking demonstration. And he's like, oh, with my Meta Ray-Ban smart glasses, I'm able to follow an entire recipe and the glasses will tell me what to do. So the AI voice from his glasses is talking to him and telling him all the ingredients that are before him on the table already set up for this demonstration. He goes, okay, what do I do first? And the thing is in the middle of speaking to him and he goes, what can I do? What's my first step? And it just stops talking and freezes for like 10 seconds.
And then eventually it's like, oh, you start grading the pear, and there's no pear on the table in front of him.
Right.
Hey, Meta, start live AI.
Starting live AI. I love the setup you have here with soy sauce and other ingredients. How can I help?
Hey, can you help me make a Korean-inspired steak sauce for my steak sandwich here?
You can make a Korean-inspired steak sauce using soy sauce, sesame oil.
What do I do
brown
first?
sugar.
What do I do first?
You've already combined the base ingredients, so now grate a pear to add to the sauce.
What do I do first?
You've already combined the base ingredients, so now grate the pear and gently combine it with the base sauce.
All right, I think the Wi-Fi might be messed up. Sorry, back to you, Mark. It's all good.
And he's like, I'm sorry, the Wi-Fi must be bad, which is like such a shitty excuse.
So
for this,
absurd.
This whole thing. I guess also Mark Zuckerberg, of course, was there. And apparently he tried to make a couple of like WhatsApp video calls using the smart glasses. And
at least 4 times that I saw.
And it failed each time. So yeah, there were multiple failures in this thing. If you need a little bit of like lightness in your day, I would encourage you to watch the full video because I do love Mark Zuckerberg squirming. You know, it's a really beautiful thing to see.
It is so crazy. I can't imagine why somebody feels the need to have this technology, but also like to have it in glasses form. Like, just seems like true overkill. Like, we have our phones, we have our computers, like we can do that easily. I guess the benefit would be that it could be potentially hands-free, but it's obviously not working. I don't know. I think it's kind of nuts. And I think you could like do hands-free mode on your phone too. So I don't know. It seems like needless. It's like my whole issue with like the AI stuff in general. It's like they're doing it just because it's like a new product that they could sell to people and not because it's anything that's actually useful or necessary or really solving a problem.
Yeah, I totally agree. I will say that the wearable category has been around and has been speculated before this current wave of AI.
Yeah.
And I think that it's just incorporating that large language model enables it to do something like the demonstration was supposed to do, which is like, you know, can you give me a recipe for a sauce or whatever, right?
Right.
So I see theoretically how those things can be linked. But yeah, I agree with you generally about AI in that there's not a lot of great use cases for it. I think that generally the wearables category is how a lot of tech-minded folks see the technology that is currently in our smartphones evolving to, right? So instead of looking on Twitter on our phone or scrolling TikTok on our phone, instead we'll just have like a feed inside of our glasses that we can watch at will, and we can control it either silently by thinking or verbally. You know,
we're not merging our minds with like the hive mind of an AI platform. That's terrifying.
I don't think it would be like a merge. I think it would be more of like a sensor of some kind.
I think that's what we're getting to, Justin. I think that's the ultimate goal by Peter Thiel.
You're going real sci-fi out here.
Listen,
real sci-fi.
But listen, this is the only thing that I would say. If I could get like some really intelligent visor that was like fucking cunty looking and cool and was actually useful and wasn't like, you know, insidiously evil and owned by these companies that like do not care about humankind, then I could be interested in that idea of like having like a smart glasses thing that like uses some kind of AI that's like has limitations imposed on it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that we'll ever have that. You know, I'm thinking Ghost in the Shell. Did you ever watch that show?
Of course, yeah.
When you were young?
All-timer, yeah.
I fucking loved Ghost in the Shell. I used to be so into anime when I was like in high school and middle school, and I loved Ghost in the Shell. I thought it was so fucking cool. So if I could get something like that, and I was doing secret missions, and I was like, you know, I'm in some warehouse that I'm breaking in, and I have to like steal some, I don't know, some microchip that has important information on it. And then I asked my smart glasses and smart visor, where do I go from here? And they're like, turn left. There's 2 guards waiting. Then I'm interested in that kind of technology.
Okay, so you don't want to have to say like, hey, Meta.
Yeah, I definitely don't.
Imagine in Ghost in the Shell, you're on a secret mission and you're like, hey, Meta.
You know what? If Ghost in the Shell was revamped and recreated today, actually, if they like did remember Scarlett Johansson did Ghost in the Shell, what was that casting, by the way?
Famous controversy, yeah.
Oof. But if they did that again today, they would definitely have brand placement and use Meta. And she would be like, hey, Meta, where do I go now?
Well, unfortunately, I think that as we've seen, the tech bros that are running these companies and are making these hardware decisions are using those animes as influence.
Yeah.
And what they don't see is like the dystopian nature of those animes and fiction.
Yeah, Ghost in the Shell is like not something to aspire to. Like she's like basically trying to overthrow tyrannical tech overlords.
Right. I mean, like we look at Blade Runner, there's all kinds of fiction like this, you know, like the whole cyberpunk aesthetic is corporations have taken over the world and everybody is like living a miserable existence. And people are like, yeah, that's what we want.
It's crazy to me that people, you know, I haven't bullied you yet, so it's time. Earlier when you were like, oh, I think you're getting like a little ahead of yourself, basically is what I took from what you were saying. Getting a little crazy with this. But there's a lot of parallels to like the dystopian future that I'm talking about, and those are described in these shows, these anime, these movies.
Well, there's parallels.
I don't think I'm so far off, Justin.
The sci-fi thing that I think that is a little bit is we're very far from translating human consciousness and moving it into a piece of technology. So like,
I don't know, give it 150 years.
That's a long time. In 150 years, sure, but in our lifetimes,
actually, I'd say give it 50 years.
I would be surprised if we get
Justin,
it done in our lifetime.
When we're in the nursing home, and we will be in a nursing home together, I'll be like, did you hear? They merged the mind consciousness with the AI to the people. And you'll be like, actually, Geoff, you don't know what you're talking about.
Sounds like I'm doing a lot better in my old age than you are, so I'm cool with that.
Definitely you will be. Are you kidding me? Look at my body. Look at my face. Things aren't going hot over here.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm going to be a mess when I'm older.
You're a
That's
spry
okay.
29-year-old.
I've accepted my fate. I'm going to be a crazy Subway person.
Okay.
Oh, I mean, yes, I'm gorgeous.
Okay, well let's move out of Tech Corner and let's move instead into Swiftie Corner.
Okay, we love Taylor Swift. I'm looking forward to the life of a showgirl.
Yes,
it's coming out soon.
It's coming out very soon. I think our next episode, maybe 2 episodes from now, will be about this album. Can't wait.
Yeah.
A bit of an update on this is that there is a theatrical experience that is accompanying the release of the album. Real Swifties can attend an 89-minute release party event called Taylor Swift, the official release party of a Showgirl. I am very curious as to what is making up this 89-minute theatrical experience. I know that it's the premiere of a music video for the song The Fate of Ophelia, which is, I'm assuming, will be the lead single off of the album. I guess there's some behind the scenes stuff, but yeah, Geoff, what do you make of this? Are you going to be attending the theater to see this event?
Well, Justin, I certainly won't. Too embarrassed. I don't want to be seen there with a bunch of tweens.
That's the only reason you're too embarrassed?
Well, you know, I also don't need to spend the money to see that. But I also bet that it's probably not playing around here. I probably have to go to like a major metropolitan area. Like I'd have to go to like Boston or New York for that, you know?
I don't know. The Eras Tour movie was like everywhere.
Oh, that's true. It was wide release.
Don't underestimate Taylor Swift. Like,
you know, and you're absolutely right. I shouldn't. She's mass appeal incarnate.
That being said, I am absolutely not seeing this. This seems like, I mean, this is a classic Taylor Swift move where it's just like she did with Tortured Poets when she put out the deluxe version or whatever. It just seems like an easy upsell for people who are already going to be completely bought in on the album. And they're like, well, let's also watch an 89-minute long music video, you know, BTS piece.
Wait, I'm so sorry. I think I missed this part of the article. I did not realize that the music video was 89 minutes long.
Well, I don't think the music video is that long. There's no way. Okay. But the entire experience is 89 minutes long. And it includes the premiere of the music video and some behind the scenes shooting. And
oh, I see. Okay.
It's unclear exactly what will make up the 89-minute runtime at this point.
Got it.
And that to me is reason number 800 why I'm not really interested.
Yeah, I think I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for a younger audience. It's not for me.
I think, yeah, it's cute. I'm sure that there's a bunch of Taylor Swift fans who will shell out the money to do this. I'm sure
Dress
that
up in their Eras outfits.
parents of, 13-year-old girls everywhere are shaking in their boots, expecting
Wearing
to
orange.
to break out the minivan to drive their kids and all their friends to this premiere. But I'm not in that demographic. So
Ophelia. Wasn't that a person in Hamlet?
you are correct. It is a character in Hamlet.
This kind of goes back to my whole thing of her. Remember when she's like your English teacher and gym teacher getting married?
Yeah.
I still find it really interesting that she believes herself to be more of like a literary and a writer than a singer. It's just fascinating to me.
I mean, it was very evident to me in Torture Poets department.
Right.
I think it doesn't always work for her, that image. I think she's a little bit sophomoric in her literary influences,
Right, as we've discussed.
Yeah.
I think she writes some great songs. She's written some great songs, but I don't know if like lyrically there's a great amount of depth. And when I say songwriting, I don't really mean the lyrics. I mean like she's written great songs that are catchy and fun.
Yeah,
to
melodies, anthems,
yeah.
She's an incredible songwriter.
She's like a true musician.
Right. Yeah, I totally
It's
agree.
fascinating.
I thought that, well, we'll see what the album sounds like, but I got the impression that this was a more pop focused album, and it's interesting that she's maintaining this like literary flavor to it despite that, right? Despite the Max Martin production and whatever.
Also, if I remember correctly, Ophelia like K herself because she's upset about her love interest.
Yeah, I think famously she goes a little bit mad and then she drowns to death as a result of her madness, which, I mean, if you think about the cover,
that's going to definitely be in the,
think about the cover of Life of a Showgirl.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah. And it's also interesting, we have a Taylor Swift who is now engaged to be married. Parallels, or maybe lack of parallels there between Taylor Swift's actual life and the story of Ophelia. But maybe Taylor Swift is reclaiming the story of Ophelia in this song. Who knows? We'll see, I guess. Yeah.
Ophelia Bones. I feel like there was some kind of like sexual joke about Ophelia.
Yeah, like Ophelia.
Like when we were kids.
I'm sure that was on The Simpsons when, when they were calling the bar with different names. I'm sure that was a Simpsons bit.
Something like that. Yeah, there's something there. Well, flopped on that one, but that's okay. I flop often. Cut that.
Before we take a break and move on to our main topic today, I just wanted to quickly shout out, rest in peace, Robert Redford, who passed away over the past week. I would say a Hollywood icon, famously one of the most handsome leading men in Hollywood history, the originator of the Sundance Film Festival, which is a very high-profile film festival that still exists to this day and is producing great films.
Also a philanthropist.
That's right, yeah.
He and Paul Newman, great friends. Mm-hmm. Famously, everyone knows Newman's Own. I bet there's one person listening who didn't know that Paul Newman started Newman's Own, that line of mostly organic goods in the grocery stores.
Well, I think that like our generation, really interestingly, like I knew about Paul Newman through the Newman's Own brand. Like that's kind of like my primary reference to Paul Newman. Anybody younger than us, I think, is even more on that train. So
yeah. Well, R.I.P. Robert Redford. You're an environmentalist, a philanthropist, an actor, and a handsome.
That's right.
Congratulations to you. That's a life well lived.
And we'll be right back and we'll talk about what our song of the summer was this year.
Oh, songs of the summer. I can't wait to have this convo. We'll be right back. And we're back. And Justin just let me know he is incapable of drinking plain water.
I'm not incapable. I just prefer not to do so. I just prefer not to drink plain water.
Instead he's drinking Cloudy Gator Light.
That's right. It's an electrolyte mix. It's great for hydrating. If you do run, not that I ran today, but if you go for a run, it's great. If you do run.
Dude run. We're going on a dude run. Gotta get my Gator Light in, bruh.
Okay, well, we're not here to talk about dude runs today. We're here to talk about
We're here to talk about whatever we want
of the summer. Yes? Question mark?
Well, I still want to talk about dude runs, but I guess we're moving on.
Okay.
I guess it's your podcast today.
Point for me, I guess.
No, not that. I'm the keeper of the points, as we know. So
Okay.
I'll take that back and give it to me.
Bummer for me.
Put the sound effect in.
Yeah, so the song of the summer 2025. Geoff, I'm going to ask you, what do you think makes a song of the summer generally? Like, when you think about past songs of the summer, what are they doing for you that other songs are not?
This is a great question. What a good way to start, and exactly what I was going to say too. So glad we're on the same page. So actually, this is our podcast again.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's actually a dual combined equal effort.
We're on the same page.
Okay. For the song of the summer, for a song to be considered in my book as a song of the summer or the song of the summer, I think it needs a couple things. So these are my 3 rules. 1, mass appeal. A lot of people got to know about this song. A lot of people have had to have heard it. It needs to be one of those songs that people are like, oh, hell yeah. Like when it comes on the playlist. Whether you be sitting on the beach, yakking it up, yak life. Whether you're at a kickback by the fire. Whatever summery activity you're doing with your pals, when it comes on, no one's like, next.
We're hearing it at the park. We're hearing it bumping out of open car windows.
You hear it at the club or at the bar.
Yes, you're hearing it on the streets everywhere.
The song is in the streets. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
So there's got to be like a mass appeal to it. Number 2 rule for songs of the summer has got to be you're able to groove a little bit to it. You got to be able to bop and dance.
It's got to be a little bit of a banger, you know? Like, I think it has to have the energy. It has to have energy. It's rare that you have a song of the summer that is like a ballad.
I think it's funny that it's a little bit of a banger.
Well,
it's like being a little bit pregnant.
It's not horde, right? It's not like It's not like we're not headbanging, but it's like
it's got to be a bop.
It's danceable. You know what I mean? You got to be able to throw it on at a party. You're not crying in your room with the lights off to a song of the summer.
Absolutely not. One more thing, and it kind of has to do, I think, with, well, these are all interrelated, right? Like, it's all a gesunden Werk, as the Germans would like to say.
Vocab word. Point for you, for sure.
Oh, yay. I accept your suggestion, and I will award myself a point. Thank you, Justin. It has to be singable. And by this, I mean it has to be easy to understand and have at least a full hook/chorus that is memorable and easy to sing, and everybody knows the words to it.
Yeah.
Not so much for the verses, but I'm saying for the hook, the chorus, the big part of the song that everyone's supposed to know, everyone should know the words and be able to recite them easily.
And that goes along with the mass appeal thing, I think. You know, it's got to be very singable.
Yeah.
And I want to add one like logistical point, which is timing. Obviously, this maybe is like assumed, but obviously it has to peak in the summertime, right? For it to be song of the summer.
I don't think it has to come out in the summer, but I think it's...
If you look historically, you know, I think we can both agree song of the summer last year, Espresso, Sabrina Carpenter, right?
Of course.
That song came out, I believe, in April.
Right.
So usually songs of the summer come out sometime in the spring, and they build up momentum in through the summer. So like by the time that June, July passes, you usually already have a song of the summer out in the ether, you know?
Right.
So there are some songs that we're going to talk about later today that I think came out in the summer proper, and it's interesting to talk about those, but I do think that that puts them at a disadvantage, because I think usually it's better if they come out a little bit earlier so that their peak performance time is really in the meat of the summertime.
Agree.
Now, to get to like the question that I think led us to have this conversation in the first place, do we even have a song of the summer this year? Because I think that this year has been a strange one for music in that there wasn't an obvious song of the summer candidate that popped out in my mind when I was thinking about the landscape. And part of that is that we had a couple albums from big artists that, while I really enjoyed many of them, did not really have song of the summer energy. Like I think about the Lorde album, for example. Many great tracks on that album. It came out.
I forgot about that album.
In July.
With you.
We did a whole episode about it.
I know, but I just forgot about it.
I still stand by that. I love that album, but it's definitely not song of the summer material, right?
No.
Like What Was That maybe has the most pop influence. You know, it was on the radio a little bit. It hit the Billboard Hot 100, but it's definitely not like Espresso level. So yeah, we had a couple of those. I mean, Haim is another example. We're going to talk about one of their songs as a candidate, but again, a little bit more niche.
Lady Gaga.
Yeah, Lady Gaga put out an album. Was that March, I believe?
I think it was March. Mayhem.
I think that Lady Gaga album is very well liked by her fans and by critics, but it did not really take off in the mainstream. So Yeah, no real song of the summer candidates from that album, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think part of what's fascinating is the song of the summer is like really an old school sort of way of thinking about music. It relates to like the way that the music industry used to be, where there were obvious front runners and you could just like request your radio station to play a song. And so that would shoot it up the Billboard charts and count towards its plays and its sales and things like that. And now the industry is so completely different. And I think that the industry is also still trying to figure out how to operate and how to quantify not only sales, but also like popularity, because there's so many algorithms at play that are feeding people things that they already would like.
Yeah.
Are already drawn to, that we don't really necessarily know what actually was the most popular thing played within this given period of time.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's siloing of both people's tastes and of different platforms, right?
Yes.
Like, I think that if you're on TikTok, your impression of the musical world is a lot different than if you're not on TikTok, for example, right?
Totally.
Because the type of music that does well on TikTok, because of like the logistical constraints of the platform, are different than the type of music that does well on Spotify or on Apple Music. And then even between those two streamers, the algorithms that give you the playlists are different, right? So like,
definitely,
you're going to get different recommendations on Spotify than you do on Apple Music in your like Discover page or whatever. So yeah, it's very interesting. And I think that it's rare that we have a song in this landscape that blows up the way that Espresso did. And I think that that's something that is important for a modern song of the summer, is like a sense of novelty.
Yeah.
Like when Espresso came out, Sabrina Carpenter, that was like her coming out party, right?
Totally.
We had another single from her new album that came out this year, Manchild, that timing wise matches up with Song of the Summer timing.
Yep.
And I think it's generally liked. People like that song. It's, it hit the top of the Billboard Hot 100. So I think, we'll get into that song as being a potential Song of the Summer candidate. But it's not as obvious a Song of the Summer this year because Sabrina Carpenter is like a known quantity.
Right.
So I think that that's something that's also important, and it plays into the virality, because when everybody was talking about Sabrina Carpenter last summer, it was like she was the new hotness. And now it's kind of like, oh, she's just an existing pop star that we all know and love.
Yeah, which is crazy because if you think about it, like Espresso, for it to be, what's the word I'm looking for?
Ground truth or something.
Well, I've never heard that phrase before, but sure, that works. For that to ground truth be, is that how you say that? For that to be ground truth.
Yeah.
For that to be ground truth as the song of the summer. Point for you for teaching me.
Mm-hmm.
Like that song was so huge. Like so huge. She would be a pop star today of a completely different caliber, like of the caliber of like Britney Spears, if that song had come out in like the early 2000s or the late 90s.
I mean, I think she is like Britney Spears level at this point in her career.
Well, but this is what I'm saying is like, I don't actually agree with that. And I think it's hard to quantify that because things have changed so much in the industry. There was a point in time where it was like Britney Spears is the most popular pop star of our lifetime, and second maybe only to Michael Jackson of all time during her height of popularity. And it's really hard to quantify that now because there are so many different platforms and ways to like try to figure that out.
Yeah, I guess I see what you're getting at, because I feel like, well, there's multiple different levels to it. If you're just talking like success financially, artists are making less money from their releases right now. Celebrity culture, I think, was a bit different in the 90s and early 2000s as well.
Right.
Like the teeny bop magazines were going crazy about like the NSYNC boys, Britney Spears.
Oh, yeah.
There were entire industries that were devoted to covering these music pop stars, right?
Yep.
Now we have like entire industries that are devoted to like the communities of people that have like this stan culture around specific celebrities has become broader. And like now we have these like micro celebrities that are really famous among like tiny communities of people, as opposed to everybody is focused on just Britney Spears, right? And social media enables that because you have your little The Summer I Turned Pretty algorithm on TikTok or whatever, and you're following those actors if you're into that show, and you can go down a whole rabbit hole there.
And they're hugely famous to their audience.
Exactly, yeah.
And like if I saw them on the street, I'm like, I would maybe know who they are, but I wouldn't be like fanning out. Meanwhile, there'd be crowds forming around them, you know?
So exactly. And I think that for me, what I'm saying is that relative to
No, I
other
agree
pop
with you.
stars,
I know what you're saying.
yeah, relative to other pop stars, I think that Sabrina Carpenter is in a similar position as Britney Spears was at that time. It's just that
Yeah,
music as
it's less aggrandized now.
exactly.
Mhm.
Music as an industry just has less power now than it did then.
Definitely. I agree with you. That reminds me, did you see this? Maybe you didn't. Did you see this video going around of, I think it was the Mall of America, like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, was absolutely swarmed. There was like 60,000 people there because of this YouTuber who like was doing like a product launch event.
No.
And it was so crazy and intense. They had like two different police departments there, including like the Mall of America's police department, which that place is so large they actually do have their own police force.
Mm-hmm.
They had to like shut down roads around the area, and this girl got like brought in with like a police motorcade. I'm like, is this the queen? Is this Beyonce? And like they had to like actually shut down the event at one point because so many people were crowding around. Like I guess the event like happened in like this atrium, and there were so many people leaning on and crowding around and putting pressure on the railings of the balconies that they like had to like shut the event down for a few minutes and like actually physically have people back away from the railings because they were so afraid they were going to like burst and people are going to fall to their deaths
Wow.
because of this like 11-year-old YouTuber star.
Yeah,
Crazy.
It's just the locus of fame in culture has shifted away from pop stars, and now like instead of like 12 and 13-year-olds talking about Sabrina Carpenter, I'm sure that they still are in specific circles, but like not as much as people were talking about Britney Spears in 2002 or whatever. Now it's like we got 30-year-old dude podcasters talking about Sabrina Carpenter instead, you know.
Where?
You know what I mean?
Who are those losers?
So yeah, I think it's just that the profile of music as a cultural force has maybe dropped a little bit in the past 20 years or so.
Well, Justin, I'd love to hear your thoughts about some of the songs of the summer.
Yeah, so I put together a brief list of some candidates, and I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, and I'll, of course, give my thoughts. The first one, I think, was a song that if you had told us it would have come out this summer, we would have said, that's a potential song of the summer candidate.
Yeah.
This is The Subway from Chappell Roan, which we've talked about on the pod before. Geoff, what's your verdict on this one?
Well, we did briefly talk about The Subway. I think it's a fun song. I think it like is more like one of her ballad songs with like a pop crossover. I don't think it's a song of the summer. I think it's got like a fun, I don't even know if it's technically a chorus or if it's a verse, but like the outro to that song is extremely good. And that's the part I think everybody knows.
Right.
The production of it was so different than how she was performing it live in the leaked version of it that came out like 2 years ago. Yeah, like you said, if you had like hypothesized that this song was coming out, you know, for the summertime, I would have been like, oh man, I mean, Chappell just had like 2 huge summers. Like this has got to be the one for her. This has got to be like her song of the summer thing. But I just don't think that this one was. I think it was a little too slow and not really danceable, so it violates the rules.
I agree. Yeah, I think this one is a little bit more on the ballady side. I was just taking a look at its chart performance. It peaked at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. So it did have, you know, notable streams.
Absolutely popular. Yep.
I don't think it made a lasting mark on the culture. Like people are not still talking to me about they have the song on repeat, you know? That's something that I find really interesting about the streaming landscape when it comes to charting, because you don't have to pay any money. The obstacle or the activation energy to listening to something now is just you have to touch the song on your screen, as opposed to purchasing something. And I think that what that leads to is established artists charting just whenever they put out anything new, because people are like, well, I got to give it a listen.
Yeah.
And I don't think that necessarily a high charting song reflects a lasting impact on the culture anymore, because people just tune in to be like, oh shit, Chappell Roan just dropped a new song. Let's see what it sounds like. And then they're not listening to it ever again, you know?
Right.
So I do wonder if that's the case here. It's hard. I'm speculating, of course. Maybe there are some Chappell stands that are just got the Subway on repeat. But I think most Chappell Roan fans are kind of still listening to Rise and Fall. You know?
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I do want to say though, like, while I don't think that The Subway is a song of the summer, I do think that some of the looks in the music video are going to be the Halloween costume of the year, including her fully green hair suit look. If I had the money to buy enough wigs like that, I think that would be like a fun Halloween costume for me.
And I want to stress briefly that I loved that song, and I do think
I
it's
do
a great
too.
song. And I don't think that Chapel Roan needs to be a Song of the Summer type artist to be
No.
successful in my mind.
Yes, our thoughts about like what the song of the summer is has nothing to do with the quality of the music. Well, it maybe has a little to do with the quality of music, but it doesn't have to do with like an artist like failing or flopping. Like, I think there are a lot of artists who put out songs who did not really care about whether it was like super commercially successful or if they like had a chart topping song of the summer. I think there's a lot of artists who put out music because it was important to them and said something that they cared about and, you know, was able to be a cathartic release.
Yeah,
And there's
totally
nothing
agree.
wrong with that. I'm not saying that these people flopped or failed in any way. Not at
Totally
all.
agree. Totally agree. Okay, next song we're going to chat about.
Yes.
This song,
rules.
in my opinion, is the Song of the Summer. This is my personal Song of the Summer.
Okay.
It is Relationships by Haim. So this was our first ever shared What's Good.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, we both chose this as a What's Good in a previous episode.
Sure did.
Jeff, what do you think about this one?
Well, I love this song. I do think that it like fits all three rules. My three rules of Song of the Summer definitely like apply. It's singable, it's danceable, and it like definitely had a big moment and a lot of people know about it. While it's not my personal Song of the Summer, I think it is a great song, and I'm so jealous you got to see it performed live.
It was a very great live performance. It went
I
off.
fucking bet.
It was fun. I just love this song. I agree with you on everything you said. Now, the reason I don't think it's the Song of the Summer culturally, even though it's my personal Song of the Summer, is just mainstream success. So I was looking at the chart performance of this song. It did not chart on the Billboard Hot 100 at all.
Really?
Yeah. And its highest chart placement was on the US rock charts, where it charted at number 23. So it's did not perform very well on the charts. This is a situation where I think our demographic specifically has been really exposed to Haim, and our demographic loves Haim.
Yeah.
Outside of our little bubble, I feel like this has not really been a huge song. This is a great example of what we were talking about, like the siloing of people's interests. You know, the youths, the young people are not listening to relationships. This is like a solidly young millennial song, I feel like.
Yeah.
So that's a bummer. I was a little bit shocked by the chart performance there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I don't really have anything
hard to argue
actually.
with that. Yeah, it's tough.
No. Okay, we need to talk about the next one.
Yes, this is one that I think is a little bit of the inverse of relationships, in that I feel like there are pockets of people who, for them, this was 100% their Song of the Summer. And it's kind of two, right? So these are both singles off of the new Justin Bieber album, Swag. We didn't even talk about the fact that he released a sequel, Swag 2.
What?
You didn't hear about this?
No.
Okay, well, let's quickly talk about these two songs, then we'll get into Swag 2. But the two songs off of the first Swag album are Yukon and Daisies, probably the two biggest songs off of that album. These two songs did pretty well on the charts, and I think they have summer vibes. Jeff, what do you think about either of these songs being Song of the Summer? I
would say that they are not songs of the summer for me, and probably not most people. Yeah, I mean, Yukon, I think I heard it once when I listened to the Justin Bieber album when we briefly talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
Daisies I have heard, and I've even heard on the radio because, as I mentioned, I forgot my phone yesterday. And so I was listening to the radio, and Daisies played twice while I was driving back and forth, like within that 4-hour period of time. So I do think it's popular.
Way you got me all in my head. Think I'd rather you in my bed.
But I gotta tell you, I know the melody. I don't really think I know any of the words.
Yeah.
It's mumblecore.
As we talked about when we were talking about Swag, the lyrics are kind of just vague love song lyrics, nothing too wild, to me at least. I will say that Daisies peaked at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100, so this is on the level of the Subway. Yukon peaked at number 17 on the Billboard charts in the US at least. So these are both very well liked songs. I think that they're a little bit light on the banger part of the Song of the Summer category.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're not really danceable. I think they're a little bit too chill, in my opinion. And like you said, not really catchy, singable choruses, right?
Yeah.
So while it's perfectly fine, put it on in the background type music, I don't think it really qualifies for Song of the Summer, in my opinion, at least.
Sure. No, I would agree with that.
Actually, I misspoke earlier. It peaked at number 2 in the US Billboard charts.
That is so wild to me. Okay. Well, James.
Okay, this one I think is a real contender, Jeff.
Okay, yes.
So this is No Broke Boys by Tinashe and Disco Lines.
No broke boys, no new friends. I'm not rich, give me my tens. Ain't no lie, ain't no shade, but call me then you know.
So this is, I would say, a big TikTok song.
Yeah.
Also a dance track.
Huge TikTok song.
Yeah, so Tinashe actually put out an original version of the song No Broke Boys a long time ago.
Yep.
Disco Lines is a pretty well-known house artist, like DJ and producer. He's known, at least he got really big by making house remixes of pop songs.
Yeah.
I think that probably his big breakout was he did a remix of Taylor Swift's Love Story that is like a pretty simple house remix, but it goes off whenever you play it at a party. It's very fun. And this song is a vibe. I enjoy this song. I think it's like very stupid and cheesy in a lot of ways, but it's so much fun. The chorus is extremely catchy. I heard it and I was like, I feel like this one's going to be a big one. I remember talking to Brandy. I was like, is this song on TikTok? And she was like, not yet. And then like over the next couple of weeks, it really blew up. So this one's a contender for me. It was a little bit of a late breaker, I'll say. So on the timing front, it released a little bit late in the summer. Jeff, what do you think about this one?
Well, I don't think it was released late in the summer. I think it came out in June, the remix with Disco Lines. But I love Tinashe, and I think that she's been slept on for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
She's great. I mean, people will know her from last year. She said Somebody Match My Freak or Match My Freak. She tours all the time. Tinashe has had great songs. I really, really like her music a lot. And I feel like we haven't talked about her a lot. And you know what? I'm thinking about this now. I feel like you and I feel like we don't really talk about a lot of like urban music ever, because I don't think that you and I are like super like attuned to that.
Yeah.
But Tinashe, I think, is definitely like a lot of people. Like I think of her as like a pop artist, but I think because we live in an extremely racist society, she's automatically like considered like R&B, because she does have like some soulful pop music and she does do some R&B songs. So, and hip hop even. Also, it's crazy to me now I'm thinking about this. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent. I mean, what else is
Go
new?
for it, yeah.
But like, it's crazy to me that R&B/hip hop is a category, because those are two distinctly different styles of music, like very different genres of music.
I totally agree.
But it's like so racist. They're like, okay, it's like they couldn't call it the black category, but they're like, but we all know who's going in there. You know what I mean?
I completely agree with you. That's something I've always thought was so weird, especially like at the Grammys. Sometimes when they combine R&B and rap, they're very different styles of music.
It's so fucking crazy.
Yeah, so I misspoke here. The Grammys have distinct categories for hip hop and R&B. I was probably thinking of Billboard, which combines R&B and hip hop in many of their charts. Anyways, let's get back to the show. I fully see Tinashe as a pop artist. You're right that we don't talk about urban music a ton on the pod, unless Ben is on, and then we talk about it a lot.
And then we do. Ben eats up our blackest friend.
I will say, I do try to keep on some of the hip hop side of things. I know that you're not as big.
You definitely know more about it than me.
Yeah, I know that you're not as big of a fan of hip hop. I am, I think, more tuned in to that side of things, but I just don't talk about it on the pod that much because usually it's not a shared interest. I have brought it up on What's Good sometimes, but
listen to you. I'm not racist. Trust me.
I mean, you've also brought up like R&B music in your What's Goods as well.
No, I have. Yeah, for sure. Well, anyways, I think
this is a real contender for me. I think this is like maybe top 2, top 3 contender.
This is for sure. This is my second place song of the summer. And I would say it's a very close second. But what I really like about this song in particular is No Broke Boys is that it reminds me a lot of like the energy of TLC and the outro. And I heard this, but then I was like, I need to learn more about the outro part of the song. And I'm talking about the original version that came out. I think it was in like the fall of last year.
Yeah.
It reminded me so much of one of my favorite R&B songs of all time, which is called Go Deep by Janet Jackson.
Yeah, yeah.
And I heard it and was like, oh my God, this reminds me so much of Go Deep. And I also was very fascinated by the way that Tinashe used, like, I think it was her sister and her cousin, or her friend and her cousin, to do like the backing vocals of No Broke Boys, like the chorus, No Broke Boys, that part. She had her sister and her cousin, who just happened to be around, get on the track
and
do it with her. And it's so cool for many reasons, but I think the coolest part of that is like it's so clear she and her friends, her crew were just having so much fun doing it.
Yeah.
And because Tinashe is super smart and she also owns a lot of her own publishing, which is super intelligent, she's like making sure that like her friends and family get paid for that stuff too. So like this song is huge and she's made a lot of money off of it. And I think it's just really cool that she is like sharing the wealth.
Yeah, and I'll say that making like a TikTok techno remix of it with disco lines is also a very savvy move.
So smart.
Because that guy's music is always going viral on TikTok. And I think that aligned with like the chorus, this super catchy, TLC-esque, Janet Jackson-esque chorus is just like a recipe for the gods. This one was always destined to blow up, I think.
I agree. Yeah, I love this song. Love Tinashe.
Okay. So let's talk about what is probably the elephant in the room, Man-Child. Geoff, on our Sabrina Carpenter episode, you said that this was the song of the summer. And then you were like, well, I forgot about a couple. So has your mind changed? Do you think that Man-Child is the song of the summer for you?
Okay, so I don't think that this is my song of the summer. Today in late September, I would not say this is my song of the summer. I do think it was a very popular song. You know that I love the song from our Sabrina Carpenter episode. It's really fun. The music video, I think, is excellent and really entertaining. And it's catchy. It is dancey. It hits all the marks for me. But for me, this is not the song of the summer. What do you think?
Well, I think that it definitely doesn't have as strong a case as Espresso last year. But Espresso was such a juggernaut last year that it's kind of hard to compare. I do think, for me, in my opinion, I think this is probably the best case for Song of the Summer, Man-Child.
Okay.
It has the broadest appeal. It is summer vibes, it sounds happy. It's danceable. It's extremely fun, all of the amazing, like, little ad-libs, as we talked about on that episode where we talked about Man's Best Friend. It's just a fun song to sing along to. It's a fun song to dance to. You can hear it in Target when you walk in, like it has a mainstream appeal. It topped the Billboard Hot 100. Yeah, I think this is the one. I just think there's just nothing else that's quite at that level of popularity, quality, and summer vibes. And timing wise, it came out at the right time, So I think it's Man-Child.
Okay. I think that your case makes a lot of sense, and it's definitely extremely popular, potentially the most popular song on this list. Although I would argue maybe No Broke Boys is even more popular because it does cross so many different demographics that Man-Child may not.
It's interesting. So I mentioned that Man-Child topped the Billboard Hot 100. Again, these things are qualitative, right? So
sure.
Who knows what charts even mean anymore. But if we look at the Billboard charts of No Broke Boys, the Disco Lines remix, which has performed way better than the original version, the Disco Lines remix topped out at number 45 on the Billboard Hot 100. So at least in terms of US streaming numbers, which is what mostly influences the Billboard Hot 100, we have Man-Child far and away beating No Broke Boys.
Okay.
That does not necessarily reflect impact on the culture at large, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Because what about TikTok?
Well, one thing is that TikTok streams do count towards Billboard chart calculations.
Okay.
Their algorithm, how they calculate the chart positions, is not public. So my guess would be that like a snippet streaming on TikTok might not be worth the same amount as like
I'm sure
a full stream on Spotify or Apple Music, right? So who knows? Who knows which song is more recognizable? But like the little tiny snippet of like, No Broke Boys is probably more recognizable than a similar snippet of like Man-Child, But at least as a song, I think Man-Child has like a bigger presence in the culture.
Makes sense. Okay, well, before we talk about what I think is my song of the summer, I want to mention a couple of things of songs and artists who I think are worth mentioning because they were definitely like in the zeitgeist this summer.
Yeah.
I would like to talk about the song Luther by Kendrick Lamar and SZA, who are on an extremely successful tour right now.
If it was up to me, I wouldn't get it, nobody's no sympathy.
This is a great pull, and this is, I would say, in the old style of songs of the summer, where this song came out on GNX, which released last year, and only peaked like in its popularity over the summer. So this is a classic example of what we talked about earlier, where a lot of songs in the summer come out way earlier and only peak later. So yeah, I think this is a great pull. I mentioned that No Broke Boys was a little bit of a late breaker. It came out in June. So was Manchild. And I think that's part of the aimlessness of this conversation, is that we were pretty deep into like when the song of the summer would have already been released by the time that a lot of these heavy hitters started coming out. But I think that Luther is an exception to that in that it came out really early.
I agree. Love that song. Also love seeing Luther Vandross being, I guess, like displayed to like a different younger audience, because like I definitely like grew up like listening to a little bit of Luther Vandross. And I think that Kanye West also, like when we were in like high school, featured a song. I forget what it was called, but it was really good. It was like a Luther Vandross, a little Anita will definitely set this party off right. What's that called?
Slow Jams.
Well. Yeah, that's
off,
a Slow
off the
Jams.
College Dropout. Yeah.
Yep. That was great. Yeah. And so it was kind of, it's like cool to see like these artists who were huge, especially like in the 80s, like Anita Baker and Luther Vandross, like their influence and their inspiration is evident in the work of like contemporary artists now. So I think it's always cool when they're able to pay homage to them. So I really like that song.
Worth noting, that song topped the Billboard Hot 100. So in terms of mainstream appeal, at least as a song, I think, absolutely massive song. I think that one's probably top 3.
And Luther, I mean, Kendrick and SZA are just like absolutely killing it right now on their like combined tour. They're doing like huge numbers. So congrats to them. I love Kendrick Lamar, obviously. I know you're a huge fan. I would say I'm a big fan. And I love SZA, so I'm very excited for them. Also, we need to talk about Sports Car by Tate McRae.
This was your What's Good a while back now.
A while back. I love this song. I think Tate McRae is a huge talent. I think she is like Britney Spears of our time.
She certainly is trying to be Britney Spears. I think arguably more Pussycat Doll adjacent than Britney Spears adjacent.
Okay. Okay. Well, I guess she kind of skipped the like I'm an innocent girl next door thing.
Right.
Which like I like that. I like that she's like, I don't care about that. I can dance and I'm hot and I can sing. I think Sports Car is a great song. I think her live performances have been like incredible. I don't know if you've watched any of them, but she absolutely killed it on SNL with one of the best uses of space I've ever seen on Studio 8H's floor. It was incredible. Did you see it?
I haven't seen the SNL performance. I've seen many of her performances because the Instagram algorithm loves to be like, hey, you're a straight man. I bet you want to watch this video of of Tate McRae dancing.
And do you?
I mean, I don't not, but I'm also not trying to have my Discover page dominated by Tate McRae. You know what I mean? Not a good look.
I quite understand. You're a married man now. Gotta keep it cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, in her SNL performance, she was like walking on, they had like a ton of chairs stacked on each other. And she was like climbing this pyramid of stairs, and the dancers were like, it was insane. Like the feat of strength that these people had, her included, like picking up chairs and creating a staircase out of chairs that they were holding in the air for her to walk down while she's fucking singing and dancing down them. It was incredible.
Wow.
You should absolutely take a look. Everyone should pause and look. We'll put a clip in the show notes.
Yeah, one thing I'll say about Tate McRae, I think she's a little bit in the Gracie Abrams category, not sonically, not musically, but in that...
I was just going to say in what way?
Well, in the way that she has a very dedicated, intense fan base that loves her music, but she hasn't fully broken out into like the mainstream, I think.
I kind of feel like she's like Tinashe in that way. Like Tinashe has like huge stands, of which I would say I'm one, and they are like ravenous and ready to support them in whatever they do. And I love that for both of those artists. Okay, I do want to talk about 3 more mentions. I don't necessarily think that they're my song of the summer, but I think they're worth mentioning. I'm going to just say I'm very disappointed to see how much success Morgan Wallen has had this year. Morgan Wallen's a terrible person, and I don't think he's a great artist. I think that he does like kind of like dude bro C-level country music. I don't think it's anything to write home about, but it is alarming to me how popular he is and how rich he is because of that success during a time when I would say, things aren't looking hot in the US, I guess is what I'll say.
Yeah, this is the type of country music that we hate to see. You know, at least I hate to see it.
reeking of misogyny.
Yeah, we have to acknowledge it because commercially this has done numbers. You know, we've talked about charts.
Huge numbers.
He's some of the most streamed and highest charting songs of the year come from Morgan Wallen.
I think like out of the top 20, I think that he's got like 2 or maybe even 3 of the top 20 streaming songs on the Billboard chart so far this year. And that is really disappointing.
And even if we take away him as a person or whatever, I just think it's not interesting music. Like, I hate to be such a downer on something that's so popular. I think we're generally poptimists here. We were just talking about how you know, Tate McRae is interesting and whatnot. But yeah, the music is just kind of boring. I feel like we've had this music before and it's not novel or interesting in any way.
Agree. Another thing we need to talk about, this is particularly popular on TikTok and with Gen Z. My Gen Z intern this year really liked this person. Somber is a, I would say, up-and-coming artist. He has a song called Undressed that did extremely well this summer. I've seen his videos a lot on TikTok, and I heard this song Undress on the radio yesterday as well.
Yeah, this man is 20, very young.
Yeah, very young. Young girl, young singer.
He's very talented.
Singer.
I have listened to his new album, which just came out. I was considering doing it as a What's Good.
Oh.
It's a good album. I don't love it. It is a little bit like unfocused, I think, in terms of genre. He hasn't quite like nailed down a sound yet, but I was impressed by Undressed, which is a song that you're bringing up. And I think by far the best song on the album is 12 to 12. Which is a very Prince-influenced dance track, which I think if you haven't listened to it, you should listen to it. It's great. That was the song I was considering doing for my What's Good. Yeah, that's a really great song. 12 to 12 peaked at 53 on the Billboard charts, and Undressed peaked.
I'm guessing Undressed is higher
at 20. So
yeah, that makes sense.
I think 12 to 12 is still building a bit, so it hasn't really had a chance to chart higher. But I really think that's the best song on the album.
Maybe it'll be the song of the fall. Remains to be seen.
Somber's one to watch for sure. I think he's a real talent, and he also is a producer on all of his songs, which is impressive for a debut album from a 20-year-old. So yeah, I think he's firmly one to watch, and I love his influences.
Oh, and he did a performance on the VMAs that was very good. I was impressed by his live vocals. I also want to talk about Mystical Magical by your friend of mine, Benson Boone.
And that's all I have to say about that.
Listen, we know how we feel about Benson Boone's music. I feel very differently about Benson Boone's music than I do about his personality and his vocal ability. We'll just say that.
I mean, listen, Benson Boone, he is a talent. I think he's a talented guy, and I'm very disappointed that he made the decisions he made to put out the really universally panned album that he did.
And when you say he, I think we know that you mean like his team.
Right, but like,
because as a young artist,
he's not completely
you don't
powerless,
have a ton of say.
You know?
No, not completely, but I do think that there's a lot of pressure from the studio. I was actually, okay, this is interesting. I thought about talking about this at the beginning of the episode, but we like already had a full slate of shit. But I'll just mention very briefly. Halsey put out an album this year that did like decently well, and she hadn't put out new music in a long time, and she's like wants to be working on another album, but she's actually like in her contract not allowed to, because her album this year did not do as well as the record label wanted, and so they're not providing her with any kind of support to create an additional album. So she's like locked in a contract and is like, well, I'm not going to front the money to make my own album because it's extraordinarily expensive, as you and I know. But she's kind of like, I'm sort of stuck right now because I need to like figure out ways to like make my current album that did okay more popular.
Yeah.
This goes back to the music industry being so different and like kind of broken.
Yeah, she also went viral, I think, before this particular cycle for complaining about having to make TikToks.
Yes.
Which is another thing that is very common in the recording industry now, where it's like you have to make a certain number of TikToks per week or whatever to promote your stuff. And it is tough because sometimes music can organically take off on stuff like TikTok as snippets, but that also leads to record labels trying to force a viral moment by just like making as many TikToks as possible. So in my opinion, it's like a net negative for music, the way that TikTok has influenced the industry. But yeah, this is a great example of that for Halsey.
And then the last honorable mention is a song that has been going gangbusters. I heard this in the supermarket the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I have heard it on the radio, and it also shows up on my TikTok page all the time. The song is called Golden, and it's by Hunter, HUNTR/X. Huntrix. Okay.
Have not watched K-pop Demon Hunters, apparently.
Nope, I definitely didn't. And this song has been just like everywhere.
We're going up, it's our moment. You know together we're glowing.
I believe that this K-pop Demon Hunters is like a show on Netflix that has done very well.
We gotta talk. Okay, yeah. So K-pop Demon Hunters is a film on Netflix that has done extremely well. Huntrix is the fictional K-pop group that stars in K-pop Demon Hunter.
Yes.
So yes, that's the source of the music. Yeah, this is a huge cultural influence this summer that I think we just have totally missed. But I think especially with the younger generation, it's like huge. And I believe many of these songs have now charted on the Billboard Hot 100. I want to say that Golden has even hit number 1 on the Hot 100.
I'm pretty sure it is number 1 currently. Let me look real quick.
It's currently number 1 in the US. Yes.
That is huge.
So I think that's mainstream success. That's how we've been defining it, is chart wise. So listen, this is not my genre of music, but I think there's a really strong case to be made for Golden to be Song of the Summer, especially in the younger demographic.
Yeah, I think so too. Another song that's been like at the top of the charts for so fucking long now, which is crazy, especially given the amount of hate that it received by you, Justin, if you remember. Die With a Smile. That song won't go away.
The song sucks. I'm sorry.
It's like, wow.
That song is mid the song.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's interesting because it was number 1 for quite a few weeks, and it's still number 12 on the Billboard Hot 100 on this day, September 21st, fully 56 weeks after it came out.
I mean, Lose Control by Teddy Swims has been on the chart, is one above that, and has been on the charts for 108 weeks. So, like,
that is crazy.
I don't understand how the charts work. I mean, we haven't even talked about what was the number 1 song for a very long time. Ordinary by Alex Warren, which is a garbage song.
Oh, yeah.
That song sucks. And we really don't need to talk more about it.
Yeah, it's very mid.
I don't really understand how any of it's the Benson Boone-ification of the music industry. I'm like, who is listening to this? I don't understand why these songs are like peaking at number 1 on the charts.
Well, I think that it's sort of, I say this all the time, so I'm not going to repeat myself, but I think that it's sort of like mid music made for the masses. Like I think it's truly engineered to appeal to a lot of people. And so that's why it does, because it's like inoffensive, it's catchy. So that's what people like right now.
I guess so.
Inoffensive and catchy. It's apolitical music, Justin. It's giving I'm not into politics music version.
We had one galaxy brain thought about Song of the Summer for this year. And Geoff and I were texting about this a few weeks ago. And this is part of the reason we even wanted to have this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Hold My Hand by Jess Glynn, which I believe came out in the year of our Lord 2014, I want to say.
I think so.
Darling, hold my hand. Oh, won't you hold my hand?
This song has had quite a bit of influence this summer thanks to what's the commercial? What's the airline?
Nothing beats a JetBlue holiday.
That's exactly right. That little clip has, of course, been on TikTok heavily this summer.
Yeah.
And while I was talking about it, I was like, I think if we were to just make the standard, like, how many people know this song and would immediately recognize it if they heard the clip of it? I think that Hold My Hand is like pretty high up there in terms of like the sheer number of people who are familiar with that song, thanks to its viral moment this summer in that TikTok clip.
It would be truly, truly millions and millions of people who know this song. And I would say the majority of them know it from that TikTok thing, because the song did come out in 2015.
Okay.
Very long time ago, 10 years ago. And it did well, but specifically like in the dance charts, I believe, and like electronic music category. And I believe Jess Glynn is like from the UK.
Yeah, it did big numbers in the UK.
Yeah. And I think she's Irish, actually, now that I'm thinking about it more. So yeah, I think like a lot of these kinds of like, it sounds very like Europop. Like that's just what this music is. And there's nothing wrong with that. We love that. So that kind of music tends to always do better in like the Western overseas market than here in the US, which I know the rest of the world also sees as like the Western market. But yeah, it just didn't like do huge numbers here in the US back then. I mean, like I said, popular on the charts, the dance music charts, but not so much mainstream. But yeah, the JetBlue Holiday clips like really just put this over the edge. I hope that Jess Glynn has really been enjoying the success, and I also hope she's been being paid handsomely for creating an excellent bop that was then used to sell budget airline flights. Who would have known that this was going to become such a hugely popular thing 10 years later?
Okay, so I already made my call. I think that Man-Child is the song of the summer this year. What do you think is the song of the summer, Geoff?
I do have to say, I think that Hold My Hand, but specifically JetBlue Holiday version is like the song of the summer. But I would say Man-Child, very close second for me.
Okay, cool. Well, we did it. We talked about song of the summer. Can't wait to break down future songs in the summer with you, Geoff, next summer.
Let's do it for every season. What do you think of that?
Every season? That's a lot of episodes.
Well, we have a lot of episodes to fill, Justin.
It's true.
We'll be doing this podcast until the end of time.
If we have an open slot, we'll slot it in for sure.
We could even do, in the wintertime, we could do like sounds of the holiday season. What if we did that?
We could rank best Christmas songs, best pop Christmas songs.
Wow. Very centrist of you, Justin, to be thinking only of Christmas.
I mean, Christmas as a season, Geoff, not religious songs. Come on.
How about best songs of the holidays? HOLIDAZE.
Okay, all right. I'm down for that.
Okay, that sounds better to me. More inclusive.
All right. Well, let's take a quick break and we'll be right back with our What's Good.
We'll be back. And we're back.
We're so back, Geoff.
We had a great conversation about the song of the summer.
We talked about a lot of great songs that came out this summer, and our verdicts were similar, if not the same.
Very similar.
Yeah.
Well, I have another song that I do think came out this summer.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't say it was a song of the summer, but it was a song that I very much enjoyed. And I think this week I'd like to tell you first what's good with me.
Oh, what a bit of a twist. Okay, tell me about it.
Well, we got to switch it up and give it a little twistery nipply.
We're always mixing it up here on the podcast BANTS.
We love to. All right, so this song is called Sally When the Wine Runs Out, and it's by an artist called Role Model.
Sally, that feeling's coming around.
And, I'm a sucker for people who stylize their names or their song titles with all caps. Gets me every time.
I hate that so much.
I want to click on it and find out what they're about.
What?
Why do you hate it?
This feels like they're screaming at me.
Screaming?
All caps? Who are we?
Well, I think there's a big difference if you go in a diatribe in all caps than if you just title your song in all caps.
I'm just like, this is unnecessary. What do you think is happening here?
Okay, well,
that's just this is a personal opinion. I'm sure the song is fantastic.
And that's fine. Anyways, yeah, the song is called Sally When the Wine Runs Out. It's like a fun sort of, I guess I would call it like a rock pop song. I don't really know very much about Role Model. I know he's a young singer, good singer. I know he's tall. And I know he like dresses like a Gen Z from his music videos. And yeah, I like that. It's just like a fun song. I'm pretty sure that he's like from the South, and this song sounds like it could have been like a Fleetwood Mac song, if that makes sense.
Cool. Yeah, well, as always, we'll put a clip in, and I'll give this a listen after the show. It sounds cool.
I'm always so inspecific and just like going on the vibes in my recommendations. You're like always analyzing and breaking it way down.
I try.
I love that for you.
I try to bring some analysis into this podcast.
I am not a smart man, Jenny. Okay, Justin, Tell me what's good with you this week.
Well, Geoff, I watched the first 2 episodes of a TV show, which I have been very excited for. That show is called Alien Earth. It is a part of the larger Alien franchise, of course, which began with the Ridley Scott directed Alien, starring Sigourney Weaver. This is a television show on FX, and you can stream it on Hulu or Disney Plus. Its showrunner is Noah Hawley, who is a creator who you and I both really love. He is best known for doing the shows Fargo and Legion on FX, both of which were critically acclaimed. I still need to catch up on Fargo. I watched the first 2 seasons, and they're really incredible television.
I've been telling you for years.
I know.
Skip season 4, watch 3 and 5.
Okay.
So good. 5 is excellent. I'm excited because I'm hoping it's going to come out with the 6th season of this anthology series. Came out last fall, season 5, so I'm hoping that I'm going to hear something soon about season 6.
Well, Noah Hawley's been a little bit busy with this new show, Alien Earth.
I don't care.
It is a very interesting show. So it's a bit of a prequel. It's set, I think, 2 years before the original Alien, although at this point in the first 2 episodes, there's not a direct connection to the original Alien.
Mm-hmm.
Importantly, most of the Alien franchise takes place either on a spaceship or on alien planets. And in this world, it's dominated by, it's set in the future, and it's dominated by corporations that are running Earth and the rest of the galaxy, essentially. As far as I know, there are no governments. Everything is run just by these massive mega corporations, including
again,
Weyland-Yutani, who is the major one. This show introduces a couple of new mega corporations that are also kind of vying for control of Earth and the galaxy, including one called Prodigy. So Prodigy is run by a very Willy Wonka-esque wonder kid that has found a way to transfer human consciousness into a robot body.
Synthetic body.
Right, a synthetic body. Something that's so interesting about the Alien franchise is that you would imagine, based on everything you see in the marketing and based on the name of the franchise, that it's really about aliens. But actually,
one would think that
from the very beginning, it has been very interested in artificial intelligence and in human consciousness, right? And this is something that I've talked about when I talked about Prometheus back in the day, when we had our hot takes episode about film, because the main character of that film is David, who's a synth, an android. So in this one, they introduced this concept of hybrids, which are human consciousness implanted into a robot body. That's one narrative thread in this show, is these children who are dying of, fatal diseases, whose consciousnesses are transferred into these robot bodies, and they're named after the members of Peter Pan's gang. I'm forgetting what the name of them are right now. But the lead one is named Wendy, again, after Peter Pan's companion.
The Lost Boys.
The Lost Boys, right. And the rest are named after the Lost Boys. Now, these are adult actors who are kind of portraying a childlike personality, and I think it's kind of like a fun, very Noah Hawley-esque absurd aspect of this Alien franchise. That's one part, and it already in the first 2 episodes is kind of tackling, are these hybrids human? Are they the same as they were in their previous human bodies? What has changed about them? And what makes somebody human is something that this show is really interested in. Now, the second narrative thread that is being woven into the show in the first 2 episodes is this ship, this scientific ship that's owned by Weyland-Yutani, again, a rival company against Prodigy, that has collected a whole bunch of alien specimens for research purposes. Now, one of those is, of course, the famous xenomorph, which is the alien. And I will say that the xenomorph is heavily featured in the first 2 episodes, and it's extremely gory. It's very action horror as opposed to scary vibes horror. I am not usually a fan of that style of horror in my Alien movies. I'm a big fan of the first one, Alien, and not as big of a fan of the big 80s big muscle guys with ARs style of the second movie, Aliens. And this one trends a little bit towards the second movie. But what I will say is that in addition to the xenomorph, they also have a whole bunch of other alien creatures that they have abducted.
I don't like it.
That are all kinds of creepy. And it's so interesting that this is where Noah Hawley chose to go, because if you did it poorly, it would be really cheesy and bad, right? It was what if we had more different kinds of aliens? But fortunately, the creature designs on these are so deliciously unsettling and creepy in a way that is so cool. There is a tick-like creature that attaches to people and sucks out all of their blood until it's this super swollen sack of just attached to little legs. There's this eyeball creature, this octopus eyeball that is like a parasite that goes into people's heads and takes the place of their eye. There is this mysterious kind of plant-like creature that isn't openly evil or trying to kill anybody, but it's very unsettling. So there's a whole selection of other alien creatures that are on this ship that are creating havoc. And that's the other narrative thread. Now, there's a lot of mysteries involved with this. So this alien ship crashes onto Earth in the first episode. And this is kind of the inciting incident that results in the events of the show. Why did the ship crash? It seems like there was a member of the ship that intentionally crashed the ship into Earth.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on with that, right? What are the motives of that guy?
He's an android, isn't he?
He is a cyborg. So he is a human that's been augmented with technology, right?
Yes.
So there's all these different kinds of hybrids with human consciousness in fully synthetic bodies. There's cyborgs, which are like partially biological bodies that have augmentations. And then there's also just straight up synths that are just robots with artificial intelligence. So it has like all of these different styles of transhumanism. And I think that the show is really interested in exploring those different types of consciousness. It is very influenced by the original Alien and the rest of the franchise, which is really cool. The action set pieces are really impressive for an FX show. I think that the special effects are really great. Again, it's really interested in tackling some of those philosophical issues, which are the reason why I like the Alien franchise as a whole. So I'm really excited to watch the rest of it. The first 2 episodes are almost like just a really good Alien movie, like in isolation. I think that they released the first 2 as a unit, like a 2-episode premiere, and then they subsequently dropped the other episodes on a weekly basis. I think all of them are out now. It might not be all of them. It might be nearly all of them. So I'm a little bit late to the party, but I can't wait to watch the rest. So yeah, definitely take a look at Alien Earth. It's streaming on Hulu through FX, and you can also watch it live on FX.
I have to tell you, I watched the first episode of this.
Wow.
I should say I watched about 2/3 of the first episode of this because a lot of it I did have to pause or nearly mute it or watch through like fingers because it was very scary. The Alien movies and Ridley Scott's stuff in general always scared me, and I was like too terrified to watch it. But I was like, let me try this because it's on, it's an FX show. We love FX on Hulu.
And you love Noah Hawley.
The now canceled Hulu. Gotta cancel my Disney Plus shit. And I also saw that an actress who I really like, who was on Fargo season 5, was part of the cast. Richa Morjani.
Mm-hmm.
She plays one of the people who are on the ship in like the flashback scenes.
Mm-hmm.
So I was excited to see that because I don't think I knew any of the other actors on the show. But I do have to say that the woman who's playing Wendy, Sydney Chandler, I think does a great job, at least in that first episode, of portraying the mannerisms and emotional reactions of like a child.
Yeah. All of the Lost Boys are doing a really impressive job, but especially Sydney Chandler for sure. But they all do a great job of really bringing like a kid's mannerisms to an adult body. It's almost like unsettling, and it's very Noah Hawley in that it's something that's like really absurd, but works. Like I don't really know how else to describe his style, but he just does things that shouldn't work, and they work every time. Like I think about the second season of Fargo that had, remember the UFO sequence? I remember watching that and being like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And it of course worked. Yeah. And he's bringing a lot of that energy to the Alien franchise, which I think it is in desperate need of. So
love that. And I also love Timothy Olyphant. And he's in a main role in this show as well.
How could I have forgotten to talk about Timothy Olyphant? Yeah, you and Ben are both massive fans. He's a synth that is kind of managing all the hybrids. So again, a lot of interfacing between these different styles of intelligence and consciousness. So it's pretty interesting.
Me love it. Well, Justin, what a great episode.
It's been a great episode. And Geoff, thanks as always for talking with me about pop culture, music, television, all of it.
Well, I love pop culture and music.
I do.
Is this the episode we end in a song?
Bye.
Okay, bye.
This has been BANTS with Geoff and Justin. BANTS is created and produced by Geoff Taylor and Justin Benavidez. Graphic design by Geoff Taylor. Editing by me, Justin Benavidez. The theme music for BANTS is the track Nebraska With You by Sam Day and is provided by No Copyright Sounds. Email us at bantspod@gmail.com with any questions, recommendations, or just to say hi. If you like the podcast, rate and review us on Apple or Spotify, and tell your friends. Bye.
That is the biggest jar of water I've ever seen in my life.
Gotta stay hydrated.
It looks like a tomato sauce jar. Is that just water?
It's an electrolyte mix.
I was going to say, why is it cloudy?
Yeah.
Did you run today?
No.
Wow, lazy.
I just can't drink plain water.
Oh my God, Justin. You remind me so often you're straight, and this is like a perfect example of that. I can't drink plain water.
I mean,
Okay.
I can, but I prefer not to.
Okay.